Alright, question number 5. We have 8 parts. So it says, according to a survey in a country, 39% of adults do not own a credit card. Suppose a simple random sample of 800 adults is obtained. We're going to complete parts A through D. Part A wants us to describe the sampling distribution of P hat. And it says the sample proportion of adults who do not own a credit card. So we're going to choose the one that best matches. So they tell us we're in a country, so countries are pretty big, got a lot of people. They don't tell us how many people, but we're not talking about like a city, which are some big cities. We're not talking about a state, which, you know, have a lot of people. We're talking about the whole country. So we're going to assume that this is going to be a lot of people, and that 800, like even in a previous example, we saw that when they had 2 million, that 1,000 wasn't too big. So we're going to assume that this 800 is not going to be too big. So if we were to check the approximate normal criteria, we can plug in some really big number. We would see that both of these would fit. So we're going to say approximately normal because the sample size is small enough, and this, nope, that's less than 10. We want to say D, that would be greater than 10. Alright, so we're going to determine the mean. So once we have the proportion, which is 39%, that's basically saying that P hat is 0.39 as a decimal. So that's the same as the population proportion. So P and the sample mean are going to be the same. So 0.39 is what we're looking for here. Once we have the mean, we can find the standard deviation. So remember, standard deviation is given by P 1 minus P divided by the sample size. We do have a sample size of 800. So when we start plugging in these numbers, we have 0.39. 1 minus 0.39 will give us 0.61. We will divide that by 800, which was our sample size. So we're going to do square root 39 times 0.61. I need to put all that in parentheses. Or it will not come out correctly. And then divide by 800. And they want us to round to 3 decimal places, 0.017. Okay, so now that we have this, what is the probability of a random sample of 800 adults? More than 42% do not own a credit card. Okay, so this is now part B. Probability that we're going to say P hat greater than equal to 0.42. So more than 42% do not own a credit card. So after this, we're going to go to StatCrunch. That's the wrong thing, I picked textbook. We are going to go to calculators, normal approximation, more than 0.42. Our mean was 0.39. Standard deviation, we approximated to 3 decimal places, 0.017. So once we compute, we get 0.0388. Interpret this probability. So this says if 100 different random samples of 800 adults were obtained, we would expect blank to result in not more than 42%. So basically we just take this probability times 100, and since we're doing this 100 times, we would expect not more than, this would be about 3. You move the decimal place over 2 times to the right, so round to the nearest integer, 3.8, so that's roughly 4. So we say about 4 of these samples not to contain more than 42%. And then part C, if we did this what's the probability that between 37 and 42 do not own a credit card? So this time we have a two-sided setup. We're saying probability that between 0.37 less than or equal to this p hat value, which is less than or equal to 0.42. And we would do the same thing. We could set up the z-score, but we're going to let StatCrunch complete that part for us as well. So up here you have standard, and then you have between. So if we click between, it will now do left and right ends. Mean is still 0.39, standard deviation is still 0.37. The between values will be 0.37 and 0.42. These are my two values. I'm sorry, I put it on the equal side, sorry. This is 0.37, and then this will be between 0.42. All right, so between those two values, we would get 84.15. 84.15. Okay, so if we interpret this probability and it says we do 100 different random samples, how many of those would we expect to result between 37 and 42 not owning a credit card? So again, we just multiply this times 100. That will give us 84, roughly 84 when rounded to their whole number. So just 84. And then part D, would it be unusual for a sample of adults to result in 296 or fewer who do not own a credit card? Why not? So we got to find out what that proportion is. So part D, we're looking for the probability less than or equal to 296, and we're going to divide that by the sample size, which is 800. So we're going to find that proportion value, and then we're going to compute this in StatCrunch as well. So 296 divided by 800 gives us a value of 0.37. So this is saying what's the probability that the sample proportion results in less than 0.37. Would it be unusual? Unusual means, is this less than 5%? 0.05. That's what we're looking for. So let's find out. We're going to go back to standard, less than 0.37. And when we do that, we get 11%. So this means this is not unusual. It's not smaller than 5. 0.1197 to be exact. So the result is not unusual. Probability, sorry, the probability that p hat is less than or equal to the proportion is blank, which is greater than 5%. So yes, not unusual. 4 decimal places. And what was that again? 0.1197. I believe that should be the right one. Not unusual. Less than, which is less than, it's not quite right, and it says unusual. Okay, so A is going to be the best one.